Hello, Happy New Year, welcome to the Samplecast. I'm back and this is episode number 63. Don't forget that there's podcasts to go along with all of the Samplecast shows. You can find those at your nearest podcast provider. And if you've missed me in the last few weeks, well, you probably hadn't subscribed to the Samplecast newsletter. That is available, and you can head to the Samplecast website to pick that up. Even when there's no podcast or video shows, I do send out the newsletter, which has bargains, news and freebies and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's get on with the show. Please welcome me in greeting a new developer to the Samplecast. Well, he's kind of a new developer. He's been going for years, but it's Oligide Paris. He's most known for his work with 8DO, Impact Soundworks, Audio Imperia and Private Labs. But this time he's branching out on his own with a new library and a new production company called Paris Sampling. So this is Motion Cinematic Grooves. It's got over 1,000 tempo sync tonal loops for the full version of Contact 5.5.2 and above, and it runs in a modified version of the photosynthesis engine. So if you've used that before, you'll know roughly what to expect. Oligide asked my advice on some aspects of the library and I was happy to help him out, and I have to say that the final result is rather nice. It provides lots of twisted and mutated string options for underscoring and action cues. Do check out his new venture at the link in the show notes. Next up, Cuica 2 from Muletone Audio. This is a Brazilian percussion library which runs in the full version of Contact 5.5 and above. It contains 341 samples, it's got 2 microphone positions, and within that sample pool you've got 80 pre-recorded loops and single hit articulations, as well as a wide variety of effects. Of course, it's a very specific library, but to my ear it does sound authentic and it should be useful for those writing Latin music. Have a look at the Muletone Audio website for details. Fans of the Unfinished have been waiting for a new Omnisphere sound set from Matt Bowdler for a while, and it's finally out. It's a collection of 400 patches for Omnisphere, focusing on action underscoring, although like all of his packs he's included quite a wide variety of sounds, and they're all adjustable with the onboard dials, and of course the mod wheel adds some action as well. There's also a deluxe version of the sound set featuring 50 extra patches for an additional $5, and that uses sound sources from the Bob Moog Tribute Legacy collection. If you're interested, check out the Unfinished site for details. This interesting new plugin was going to be my big review for this week's show. I had that all planned, as it's an innovative approach to sound design. However, my best laid plans were quickly changed when I learned that you needed a physical iLok 2 or more recent version of an iLok to authorise it, so my iLok 1 just didn't cut the mustard. I got in touch with the developers over at Boom Library to ask what was going on, and they did confirm that you can't use an iLok 1 for this, nor can you activate it using iLok authorization on your computer. So I haven't tried this plugin for myself and I can't vouch for its workflow. However, Boom Library have put out some great walkthrough videos for this, so you can get an idea of what's going on their website. This is basically a generative turbine and engine noise generator with loads of options for customizing the character and speed and timbre of the sound. It comes with 50 presets to start you off, although I'm assured that there's many different sound design tricks that you can throw with this and make Turbine into a lot of different sorts of sounds, including electronic servos, that sort of thing. As I say, I haven't checked it out myself, but there's more info at the Boom Library website, where Turbine is currently discounted to $149. After the Black Friday and Christmas sales extravaganzas, it's all gone a little bit quiet on the bargain front, but I've managed to pull out a couple for you this week. I did spot that loads of simple plugins from WA Production are now just £1 over at Plugin Boutique for the next couple of weeks. There's an EQ, saturator, transient shaper, compressor and stereo imager plugin, and these run in Mac and PC. You've got 94% off these at the moment, so I can't really complain about that. They're just £1. And you can also get a pack of Serum and Massive presets for just £1 as well. Do click the link on the show notes for the full details. Next up, a big bundle of sound effects from Sound Ideas. Now, you might not have heard of Sound Ideas before, but they're a producer of sound effects and sound design samples with a great pedigree, and they've got quite a lot of history to that company. This collection is more on the sound effects tip than actual music, but there's lots here for trailer designers, hybrid scorers and experimental composers. They've actually sampled houses and factories being knocked down by diggers, so the sounds here are authentic. There's also metal sounds and electronic sounds too. This package is currently available for 85% off. It's just $99 over at the Audio Plugin Deals website. Check the link in the description for details. A couple of nice developer updates for you this week. The first one is the new 1928 Steinway piano from 8DO. They've updated their extensive piano collection, and this is a 20GB library, and it samples a 1920s Steinway. The original version of the library is about 6 years old, so this is a well-needed update, and it's got 2 instruments, a light version and a complete sound design patch too. These instruments feature 2 different microphone positions running in the full version of Contact 5.6 and above. 8DO have added 23 new presets here and morphing and blending modes, allowing you to combine the piano sounds with other tones. There's also a new effects engine, and they've updated the interface as well. There's more about this piano at the 8DO website. I want to say a big thank you this week to Audiofier, who sent me their Randomiser Series 1.2 collection for a go. This brings their 2 existing products, Vesper and Abstrung, up to versions 1.2 with a lot of improvements, and they've also added a totally new library to the collection. This is a 3rd one called Aircoid. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. As I say, they sent me these for play and I really enjoyed having a go with them. I have to say I was pretty impressed with the sounds and functionality, especially the useful randomizer function, which always threw up usable sounds and really surprised me on several occasions. There are new interfaces here for the 3 libraries. You've got MIDI drag and drop and sequencers on board as well. I'm not going to attempt to explain everything that these libraries can do, as they are pretty complex, and the best way to experience them is to just plug in and play, but you should have a look and check them out at the Audiofier website. Here's a few freebies for you. Some of these are old and some new. I did celebrate bargains and freebies over the Christmas period with a special Samplecast newsletter. This was dedicated to everything I found in December. As I said at the top of the show, if you're not signed up to the Samplecast newsletter, do that. It's definitely a good resource, and I send out freebies pretty much every week. If you'd like to get a copy of that specific newsletter that dealt with the freebies and bargains in December, do drop me an email. I'll forward that to you. I have to say, and as a little bit of a sneak preview as well, that I'll be giving away an exclusive free instrument via the Samplecast newsletter in the next few weeks, so make sure you're signed up if you want to get hold of that. First up, a free Duduk from Strezov Sampling. This was released over the Christmas period, and it's one instrument from their Balkan Ethnic Orchestra collection, which I reviewed a couple of weeks ago, and I really loved it. They're giving it away free as a taster for that full library, and you'll need to sign up for the website to get hold of it, but it's a pretty easy process. The Duduk runs in the full version of Contact. It's got 2 different microphone positions and it's almost 200 megabytes in size. To my ear, it's got a lovely warm tone with a decent playable range, and it's got pre-recorded phrases in there too. Do check it out at the link in the show notes. A second mention this week for WA production. I helped to put the walkthrough together for this free parallel compression plugin, which is called ComBear. It was released just before Christmas, and it's a really super simple tool for PC and Mac. You can easily add parallel compression to your tracks with this without having to do any complex routing in your DAW. I have to say the effect is pretty subtle, but if you want to adjust your transients and sustains of notes using compression, then definitely do check this out at the link in the show notes. Next up, Ancient Voices by Embertone, and I did cover this in the Samplecast newsletter, but in case you missed it, I thought I'd mention it again as it's such a great freebie. It samples a choir with legato transitions and 2 microphone positions. You can also play polyphonically if you like. Embertone released this just for Christmas, so I've no idea if it's sticking around for much longer, but you should pick it up whilst you can. Next up, Ronroco by Samplephonics. Now, this library is a couple of years old, but I'd not come across it until this week when somebody mentioned it on VI Control, so thank you to them. I would mention them by name, but they've got a very odd username, so I'm not sure who it is in real life. It contains 2 Ronroco guitar patches, and they run in the full version of Contact 5.1 and above. One is pre-recorded loops, and the other is a multi-sampled playable patch. I downloaded it for a go, and despite some rather odd mapping choices for the loop instrument, I did have a really good time with it, and it's got a very authentic sound. Check it out now at the Samplephonics website, and I'll give you a link in the description where there's also many other free instruments and sample packs. This week's tip is something that I do pretty often. It's a quick and dirty technique for creating string or woodwind runs out of staccato samples for libraries that don't have pre-recorded runs. So here I'm using a string patch from Cinematic Strings. It's their Monster Staccato patch. And obviously that doesn't have any runs or anything, it's just a straight staccato. And I want to program this string run, which sounds very stiff. It's pretty basic at the moment. So what we're going to do is duplicate the track. So I've already done that here. And then take that set of notes for the string run and assign every other one to the 2 different tracks. So I've got one track that sounds like this, and one that sounds like this. And we've actually extended the notes slightly so that they blend into one another. One thing as well that you'll notice is that I've used the pitch bend so that every note runs from slightly detuned down to slightly detuned up. And if you've got that ability with your sample library to use that pitch wheel, then do it, because it will allow the notes to kind of slur more into one another. So those 2 tracks combined sound like this, which is much more realistic than this. It's a subtle change, but it's a quick and dirty way to introduce a more realistic run sound to your staccato samples. Thanks for watching the show. Don't forget the Samplecast podcast is available, and I will be available in person at NAMM. I'm going to head over to the USA for a few days to meet and greet and see what's up over there with some new samples and new technology. If you're thinking of heading over to NAMM yourself and you want to say hi, don't be shy, please drop me an email or a text and I will be more than happy to come and bend your ear. I will see you again next week. Bye bye now.